Okay, you're on Daf Mem Beis Amud Aleph, but we're going to start with the very bottom of Mem Aleph Amud Beis. Mem Aleph Amud Beis is where we are. The last two lines. I was going to say the second to last line on 41b, Mem Aleph Amud Beis. It says Hahu Damar Lechaber. But let me just say my daily story, my inspirational story, if I can remember all the details. Okay, the story I heard from David Goldwasser, the Rav in Brooklyn. There's a fellow named Binyamin Cohen who lived in Morocco. Binyamin Cohen. I assume he was a Cohen. Oh. That's a good assumption. Who lived in Morocco. He wasn't a wealthy man at all, but he had one mitzvah, like the Chavetz Chaim says. You should take one mitzvah and make it your mitzvah. He had this one mitzvah of being Mesamech Chatan V'Kala. He used to always make Chassan and Kala happy. And he had a whole routine planned out for each wedding. With outfits and dancing, the whole thing. He made the wedding. He was in. And he didn't take any pay for it. The only thing he asked for was he asked for a blessing. So we'll discuss that. Anyway, that was the story with this Yamin Cohen. But I kind of jumped ahead in the story, so you'll apologize. There was a fellow named Binyamin Cohen in Morocco who passed away, and he wasn't very wealthy, but he wanted to be buried in his son, who lived in France, who had recently become well-to-do, decided to, that's what it implies from the story, he was going to have his father buried in Israel. So they took up the grave and brought him to Israel. And it was a big deal because he had to go through a lot of bribes had to be paid, as you can expect in Morocco, until he got the father's body out and to Israel. And both the chief rabbis came. It was a big deal. That was, and a few months later, a friend of this son of Binyamin Cohen said he was in Morocco, and he did his friend, the son of Binyamin Cohen, a favor. He prayed at Binyamin Cohen's, this man's father's, kever, his grave in Morocco. He said, my friend, you made a mistake. I had my father removed and buried in Israel. It can't be. He said, no. He gave him all the details and exact, and there are pictures, but. And the son investigated, and so it was that his father was still buried in Morocco. So the son, who had no choice, he wanted to really honor his father. He did it again. Quite a big mitzvah the son did. Very impressive. But they're trying to get to the bottom of the story. What happened? So they turned he discussed it with a Chaver Kadisha, and what turns out what happened, they took the wrong Binyamin Cohen. A little bit of a mistake there. A minor detail, right? More than one Binyamin Cohen in Morocco. They took the body. So who was this Binyamin Cohen? I started telling you the other Binyamin. Binyamin Cohen, it turns out, was, as I mentioned, that was the one I was talking about. It's always Samech Chassan Kala. And the only thing he asked for the Chassan and Kala was that the bracha that says Kolach Mesamech Chassan Kala Zocha Kilu Bana Achas Mechorvas Yerushalayim, as if he built one of the destroyed places of Jerusalem. And he asked that they bless him, that he should be worthy of this blessing and at least be buried in Israel. And his family, this Binyamin Cohen was a very poor man. His family would sort of, joke, Binyamin Cohen, Binyamin, yeah, you're not going to be able to get to Israel. The bribes alone are tens of thousands of dollars to get out of Morocco. But he kept going. He had faith in God that they would happen. In the end, he did get buried by accident. And that's how it happened. Not only did he get buried, but he got buried with both chief rabbis there, and written up in the newspaper, because he trusted in God and performed this mitzvah that God would do what he said. So, and this other fellow, the son of Binyamin Cohen, was the one who brought him to there. So, sometimes we pray and we pray and we pray. And it could be, as this case of Binyamin Cohen, his whole life he prayed. And it's only after he had passed away that God filled his prayers. But the prayers always go somewhere. You don't know where they go, or they get used somewhere that they're needed, somewhere or another. Okay.
But prepared in the Chaver Kadisha, which wasn't. My uncle belonged to the Chaver Kadisha.
Yeah.
Israel.
Hope he didn't make any mistakes when Binyamin Cohen's.
No. He wasn't a Cohen.
He wasn't a Cohen either. Okay. That's yeah. We think we make mistakes, but yeah. You say every morning in in the brachos. Hashem is mechim mitzad gaver. Hashem. And there's a you look at it yourself. Listen to this. It's called Stories to Inspire. Stories to Inspire. I don't read. No time to read anything other than Gemara, Mishnah Berurah, and Mishnayos, whatever. Tour, whatever. I have time to read. I don't have time to read a book anymore. It says we say in the brachos, Hashem prepares the steps of man. So we think we know where we're going, but Hashem is the one who prepares what we do. Anyway, so let's get on with the Gemara here. We're on Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, Mem Base, 41b on the way on the bottom. Again, we're a series of cases of people who claim that money is coming to them and someone denies it, and how that plays out. There's a whole series of cases brought down, and we will get back to Shavuos momentarily. We'll get back to Shavuos momentarily. I have the answer. I'm sorry I didn't get that. We'll discuss. Yeah, your question. I'm sorry. Okay, great. I can barely remember to turn my kids' phone calls. Okay. So second line from the bottom, third to the last line, third to the last word. Who to Amrle Lechavre? A person said to his friend, Avli Shisme Azuze, Dimasiknabach. Please give me back the 600 zuz that you're holding, that you have of mine, that I gave to you. Amrle, he says to him, Velo Parasicha, didn't I pay you back? Meya Kave, flip the page, the four Mbim Beis Amud Aleph. Didn't I pay you back 600? I paid you with, not with cash, but with Meya Kave Aftse. 3 kav is six kav, 100 kav. Get the math right here. 100 kav of Aftse. Aftse, the kind of b'shisa shisa. Each kav was worth six. And I paid you 100 of them. I gave you 100 of them. 100 times 6 is 600. What are Aftse? Aftse is, Rashi says galash, whatever. Not galashes. Galash balaz. It's gidulim al agabe et alon, the tzurat egozim. Something that grows, some sort of tree nut or tree acorn or something like that. And it's famous for ma'avdin bahan oros. It's used for preparing, working the, processing the cloth. I don't know what they do. It's not for hides, it's for, it's oros, but it could be for hides, but it's also used in the process of, it says tanning of hides, okay, it's tanning of hides, but it's also used famously for also the preparation of cloth. Of the mezuzahs on it. You know, so it's used that it's something to do with skins, hides. It's processing hides. Yeah. Anyway, it's not so important exactly what these, but it's something of some value, not tremendous value. And he paid him back, instead of with money, he paid him with 6 kav. Right. 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 So 100 kav, it's a lot. Yeah. A lot of money. It's a lot of money, yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Here's about 600.
A lot of money.
Yeah. It's a substantial sum.
Right. A flock of goats. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of money, yeah.
And therefore, we look at it as how, because it's such a large amount, how can you say that he didn't pay? Or the other side, it's such a large amount. How can I, of course, if he did such a large amount, it's obvious. You can look at it equally both ways.
We're gonna discuss that, right? There's two sides of those coins in the Gemara in a moment. So yeah, 42, yeah. 42a on the top, first line. So Amrle, end the line. Amrle lav ba'arba habakami. Says no, it's no. They were not worth 6 zuz each kav. They were worth 4 zuz, so he only paid him back 400. So Asu Tresade, he brought 2 witnesses. Vamro in. They said yes. Ba'arba habakami. They're worth at the time 400. 4. So 4 times 100 is 400. So he says, I paid me back 400. So the guy is being contradicted by 2 witnesses. He said he paid back something worth 6, and the witness says he paid back 4. So Amarava Hochsa Kafron, he's established as a denier. his ability to, our trust in him, Eno Neman, as the previous Rashi from the previous page said, he's not believed to say whatever he wants to say, like he wants to deny, to take an oath or whatever. He's no longer believed at this point, so that's fine. But the Gemara says, Amar Rami Bar Chama. Wait a second, says Rami Bar Chama. Rabba, you're the one who just said, Ha'amret, you yourself said, Kol Milsa, the Loram Yalei the Inish, Lavadaite. Anything that's not significant and noticeable or worthy to a person, it's not on his head. It's not, doesn't pay attention to it. We said that a person doesn't pay attention to every bathroom he goes to, for example. He said that. Here, he didn't remember how much the exact value was, just what it was. So we hold him liable, obviously, for what he owes. He has to pay what he owes, but we don't discredit his ability to give a true testimony anymore just because of that. So Amar Le Rabba. Rabba says there's a difference. By most cases, we say we say he could forget, but this is something people don't forget. Kitzvasa de Tara mitchar dechiri inche. Something like the going rate or value or money or something of that nature, a person would not forget. A person remembers. That's not something that skips people's mind. It's an interesting discussion, it's an interesting discussion. What skips people's mind and what doesn't skip people's mind. I understand, you don't remember every bathroom you went to along the way on your sojourns, but the person would remember. A person remembers the value of important commodity, as this, I guess, and that he has, that he's willing to trade. I guess that kind of makes sense. Okay.
That's the complaint that we put them on the ladder of those things that we do.
Correct. Right. That's a legitimate point.
In other commas, that if I borrowed you milk, for example, and it was like 6 shekels a litre, right? And you paid me back, it was gone down to 5.50.
Yeah.
Right. So do I get the other 50 shekels, 50 off of you or not? Because I paid 6 and you're paying at 5.50.
Yes,
it's more or less the same thing. When he gave him the cash, the hide, the gallons were worth 600. So when he paid him back, they've gone down to 400.
Right. Now that would solve the problem. The problem is the testimony of the witnesses is at the time
it's 400.
400, right?
Money 600.
It could be, yeah. But this that would be a rubbish, yeah. No, the initial loan was in cash. Correct. Yeah.
6 at the time, not 4.
Right. Yeah.
When you gave the money of 600 zuz,
yeah.
Right, the actual the gold nuts could have been 600.
Yeah.
Right.
But if
And
he
returned
borrowed
it
cash,
400.
he has to pay back.
Right.
The commodity that he had to have to pay the debt, these nuts, and they gone down in value, that's his problem.
But if he lent in cash, he's got repayment in something which is less than the money he lent to.
But he accepted the thing.
Yeah. Well, the point is, the point is about there's a disagreement about what they're worth at the time that he paid it. He claimed they're 600 or 400. Yeah. Okay. But let's move on to the next case. It's 2, 4, 6, 7 lines down. Yeah. First one on the line is inchi. It's going one word. Ahu. So 7 lines down. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7th line down. Second word on the line. Ahu damar le'lechavre. Person says to his friend, Havli mea zuze, the masitnabach. Hashtara. He says, you owe me, give me back the 100 zuz. And here's the contract. Like a pretty solid case. There's witnesses and everything, signatures on the contract. Amrle prasicha. He says, I paid you back. So Amrle, this is where we go into problems here. He says, Amrle, Hanu sitroi nidu. That was something on the side. That was, as Rashi says, mitzad acher haisa hayavli. That's unrelated to this contract. You paid me something, was a different deal we had going on, completely different. Okay. So now normally he doesn't have to, he didn't say that. If he didn't say that, this person's holding a contract and the guy says, I paid you, we remember what to do. He has to pay him. He can make the owner of the contract swear to him, but he would have to pay him. Now he says something that kind of weakens, or maybe weakens his claim. So Amar Rav Nachman, Yisrael Shtara. The fact that he said that kind of weakens the star a little bit because he admits that money was paid, albeit for a different reason, but to some extent it weakens the star, says Rav Nachman. Rav Papa Amar Lo Yisrael Star. It doesn't weaken the star at all. It doesn't clear his claim whatsoever. He made a legitimate, he said, it's unrelated. It's unrelated. He has to pay him back. No, there's no weakening the star. We'll talk about what that means, weakening the star in a moment. What that means. Someone has to take an oath additionally. We'll see. The Gemara asks, Rav Papa, who says that it weakens the star, my shna, I'm sorry, Rav Papa who says it doesn't weaken the star, it's still everything as stands as is. My shna me'ahu, what's the difference from that case? The Amar lehe lechabre, mahu damar lechabre, the person said to his friend, Avli me'azuze de masiknaba. Give me back the hundred says that I gave to you, holding on to. Hashtar, and here's the contract. Amar le, Allah vature yahabisli, vasis vis ibas vesachna v'kibalta zuzech. Didn't we have some sort of atura yahabis? I gave it with regard to oxen. With regard, they had some sort of deal, some business dealing that they would split that they would deal in oxen and they would split the profits. And he says, I gave it back to you, where the butchers do their work, I think is what it means. And he says, I gave it back to you there. He's telling him, that I paid you back. So Amrlai Hanu Citroeninu. That's a separate thing. This contract is one thing, and that's a separate thing. Rav Papa Isra Shtara. Rav Papa said that it weakens the star to some point. That there's some weakening of the star. That claim there's some substance to that claim, and it weakens the star, weakens the validity to some extent of the contract. So that's a question, because before Rav Papa said, you say, give me back my money. Here's the contract. He says, I paid you, and he says, no, that was from a different deal. When you say it's a different deal, that you're already admitting to something that some degree of admittance weakens the star. We'll talk about that in a minute. And here Rav Papa says it doesn't weaken the star, and here it says it does. What's the difference between the two cases?
What is it? Saying following this logical conclusion, anybody who comes along and gives another therapist, is that like, he's saying it weakens the star in the sense from the side of the feather.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to get it doesn't weaken the star, the essence.
Right.
Just from his point, he's like,
star
is, it was good, but I paid you, out of that star, I paid you also this. The star doesn't have the weight that it does. It weakens from the claimant side.
The strength of his claim is weakened to some extent. Let me put it that way. Yeah. There's a hole in his claim. I don't put it that way. No. So yeah. Now let's do Tosos now anyway, since we
In the first case, the star isn't weakened because if he's giving him the money and the borrower is still holding the star, then obviously if it's that type of money he wanted, he would take the star back, but he hasn't. Right. So, he's still holding the star, so that must be on the side. Right. He owes him still owes him the 100 zuz on the star.
Right. That's Rav Papa.
The guy didn't have. He caught him in the middle. They were in the shuk. He doesn't have the star on him, the Malvik. So he said, here, I'm paying you back. I want to pay you back now. So I have 280, here gets 280, and that's it. And then all of a sudden the guy, after a certain period of time, he gets that he was paid. And he comes in and says, I have the star.
Doesn't mention anything.
Well, they're Adam on the star. That's on the sign of the star. Yeah.
On the bottom, not.
They signed. They were there. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at Tosos and the riff. We'll talk about the riff. So there's actually two Tosos. The first Tosos, Isra Shtara, the Pirish Rabbeinu Hananel, the Chen Rabbeinu Tam, from the parish of Rabbeinu Hananel and from Rabbeinu Tam, the Tzarech Bal Hashtar Shvua Shalom Nifra. What does it mean that the star is weakened? It means we put one more burden on him, that the owner of the star now has to take a shua that wasn't paid. Which is interesting if you think about it, because if he just claims, swear to me anyway, he'd have to do that. Now that he makes this claim, no, he says, Hanhu Titroin. He says, this is it's from a different. You paid me back from a different transaction or some sort of whatever it was. That's enough to put a burden of a oath on the owner of the star. That's what Tosa says. The Rif says no. Now the burden of the oath becomes on the person who denied that he owes the money. He says he admitted that there has to be some additional level of proof, but who does the burden of additional proof go on? According to Tosos, additional level of proof in the form of an oath goes on the owner of the star, and according to the Rif, additional proof now, because it's weakened, if it is weakened, goes on to the person who says he actually paid it back. That's just this thing. That's what I mean. It's right. Not like we don't believe him. We believe him, but we need a little bit more of a proof. That's all it is. We'll see what the halach is in a moment, but yeah. So what's the difference between the two cases according to Rav Papa? According to Rav Papa, the first case was he just simply said, "You owe me money. Here's a star," and he says, "I paid you back." He says, "No, when you paid me back, there was some sort of side deal." That doesn't weaken the star at all. That's case number one, according to Rav Papa. According to Rav Papa, the second case is a case where he is holding. He says, "Here's a star. You owe me money," and he tells him, "No, I gave you the money back." He said, "No, that was we had a side deal, and there was a whole thing, since it's a whole story." So the difference we'll see in a moment. Why one weakens the star, one doesn't. So the Gemara says, here we are. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 lines down. First word in the line is shtara. 17 lines down. It's a star. It's first. Second word in is hasam. Hasam kiva dekamer etura yahadis li umituri shachalt isra star. Because over there, since he said he gave an explanation, he gave a whole reasoning why the nature of the money is. It gives some substance to that. There's more substance. He says, I gave it to you for the oxen, and I received it for the oxen. We can star. Here he just said it's just a side thing, and he says it's a side thing that doesn't to the same extent require a shua. There's a less weakening in that case. We just said that's a side loan. It's unrelated. When he gives the whole reason, explains the whole reason. This and there's the case, and that's gives more substance to the claim and to the second money situation, and because of that, so therefore that weakens the star to that extent, which is an interesting idea. Okay, so the Gemara continues. My havi Allah. So what do we say about this? What's the halacha? All right, Rav Papi Amar. Rav Papi says lo isra shtara. It does not weaken the star. This kind of claim. Rav Sheshes bereid Rav Idi Amar isra shtara. Rav Sheshes, the son of Rav Idi, says it does weaken the star. V'hilchasa isra shtara. That's the halacha, that it weakens the star. That makes somebody, either the owner of the star according to Tosos, or the person who's claiming he paid it back, according to the Rif, to make an oath. The honey mili, when do we say he has to make an additional oath? When is that? Then it weakens the star. A very specific case. Not just any time the guy, he says, that's a side payment. That's not enough to weaken it. There's a very specific case. Hani mili, the parei ba'ape sahade. When he paid him that money that he says he paid him back, and he says that was a side thing. When that payment was made in front of witnesses. Below itcher le star, he didn't mention the fact it was for the star, related to the star. About pirae bein didei lididei, they paid a loan, he paid them back. It's in private without any witnesses. Migu the yachal amemar lo havi dvar ma'olam, since he could tell him afterwards, this never happened. He could completely deny it because there's no witnesses, in theory, if he wanted to. Yachal nami l'memar sitrainidu. He could say that it is a side deal. He's believed it's a side deal. Like a case of, like Rashi says, it's a case in Maseches Shavuos. A similar case in a similar way that Paskin, that Avimi, the son of Ravo, Paskin. In other words, what's the case that he says, again, but just take a step back to the case. The case is, he says, you owe me 100 zuz. Here's the contract. He says, I paid you back. He says, no, when you paid me, that was for a side deal that we had. So when does that work to weaken the claim, to make either the person who's holding the contract take an oath to get the money, or the person who's take an oath, who's claiming, or who says denies it, take an oath? When does it weaken? Very specific case. Only when the money given back for the side issue, as he claims, in front of witnesses. Then there's some substance to that. If it wasn't in front of witnesses, he just said, I paid you back. So the guy can just tell him, I never got it. And that since he's saying that I got it for a side issue, so we believe him. Because if he wanted to lie, it would make a better lie, right? He'd just say I never got the money at all. That he's admitting.
The Migo.
The Migo, exactly. Yes. Believe me, because I could have get a better lie. Right.
So with witnesses,
right.
Doesn't we get the star? The guy with the star.
Without witness, it doesn't really matter.
With witnesses,
it weakens the star.
And the guy who won the Val star has to take a shoe.
According to Tosfos, right.
So
right.
otherwise it's the other way.
Right. It's easy to understand according to Tosfos, in my opinion, but yeah. That's the whole thing, yeah.
So I said, the Ritz and the Tosfos, what are they arguing? It doesn't sound like they're arguing.
Who is the burden of doesn't say like who is the burden of proof? Like
So did the lender deny that there was a side issue, or did the borrower deny that there was a side issue, or they both agreed there was a side issue?
No, the borrower says it was the issue. This is the payment for the contract. So I paid you back. I don't owe you any money anymore. The owner of the star, the lender, says, no, you paid me back. That was from some completely other loan or some other business deal we had with oxen or whatever it is. That's a side issue. But he says, I paid you back. I don't owe you a penny. He says, no, you paid me for something else, so you owe me all the money. Tosfos says, if that payment was in front of witnesses, the owner of the star, the lender, has to swear to get the money. And if it was in front of witnesses that this guy paid this money, which he claims for a side issue, he would not have to take an oath. It was in front of witnesses. Yeah, so that's the situation. Okay.
So with witnesses on the side issue, it weakens the star.
Yeah.
Without witnesses, it doesn't weaken the star.
Exactly. Yeah. That makes sense. It's good when it makes sense. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to understand, but this time it's good. Okay, so we continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. 7th, the last narrow line. First one line is beret. You go in a little bit. There's fourth word is hahu. So it's 7th, the last narrow line. First word in the line is beret. Hahu. Another case. Who the amrei lechavrei? I think this is the last one, I think. Maybe it's the second to last one. Who the amrei lechavrei? Person said to his friend, Beheminously, it was an interesting case. Beheminously, kol emas armisli lo parano. So they make a deal. They must have some sort of friendship or business relationship to make such a deal. But he said, anytime I, as the lender, say you did not pay me, you have to believe me. Believe me, even if you're claiming, no, I paid you. In other words, the lender made a deal with the borrower that even if the borrower would claim he paid him back, he has to believe the lender that he said he was not paid back. Why would anyone get into that deal? It's a good question. He says that perhaps to avoid problems, he says, make a deal that the lender says to the borrower, I'll lend you the money, but on the condition that anytime I say you did not pay me back, you have to believe me you didn't pay me back. You must have some sort of trust already or some believability. Well, maybe serious lack of trust. Or then if he seriously lack of trust, we get Adam here in the contract. And yeah, there's a way to do it. There's a way to do things properly. Yeah, correct.
If you see what's
huh? It's not a perfect system. Yeah, if you keep your mouth closed, it'll help you. Yeah. Yeah.
So it weakens our trust in the whole.
Right. No.
We did it to take such a loan.
You take the contract and take it to Bezdin and then have them certify it. There's ways to do it. Okay. Anyway, who andulav chaver? Who damar chaver? Mehemisli kol emas amrisli lo parana. You that you agree to admit that any time I say it was not paid back, but that's what happened. It wasn't paid back. So what happened? He borrowed the money, and azal pire yape sade. He went and paid back in front of two witnesses. Okay. So now we have an agreement. He says, whenever I say I paid you back, he didn't pay you back. That means he didn't pay you back. But then he has two witnesses. He did it too. He allowed this to happen, and that we let him pay him back in front of two witnesses. So what's stronger, the two witnesses or the agreement? Right?
A full deck or a full flush?
Right. I don't know. You could ask the gentleman here who no cars. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to know.
I forgot the.
I don't know. I don't know. The aces rather than whatever.
Straight flush.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, 6 of one, half done the other. That's okay. So Abaye v'Rava, the Amitavaya ha himne. He's believed. He has credence over the witnesses because that was the stipulation. I know it's hard to understand, but the Abaye and Rava would say it. So Abaye Rava. So then Maskeva Papa. Papa said what you were probably thinking. What I was thinking. Granted that the lender, he made a deal that he's believed more than the borrower, but he's believed more than two witnesses. Two witnesses are it. So according to our Papa, and this seems how we paskin. In this case, even if you said believe me, you have to believe me when I say that it wasn't paid back. If it brings two witnesses, if the payment was made in front of two witnesses. That's it, says Rav Papa, and that's how we hold. Two witnesses are stronger than that. So there are more cases. I'm sorry, it wasn't the last one. So now we're going to take that principle, and now we're going to extend it. Okay. So second to last, narrow line. Second word in. Ahud amar lechavre, mehemnisli kibeit shrei, kol emas amar la parana. Believe me, part of the deal is you'll believe me with the strength of two witnesses. Anytime they say that I did not pay back, I was not paid back. Also, pare ba'ape tlasa. So then he paid him back in front of three witnesses. Okay, so it's three. He said, "You believe me, like even against two witnesses." Okay, but now I brought three witnesses. Is there value over three over two? We'll see. So Amar Papa, kibei trei mehemne, kibei tlasa lo mehemne. No, he said he's going to believe him like two witnesses, but now he brought three witnesses, so they paid him back. So he paid him back. Amar Rav Huna b'rei Yeshua Rav Papa. So Rav Huna, the son of Rabbi Yeshua, said to Rav Papa, Amor de Amri Rabbanon Dazlinam Basarov Deos. When do we say that we count up the number of people? Three is more than two. Hani mili in umdina. When it's like an estimation. It's a shuma, as Rashi says. Like, for example, you need experts to testify how much the thing is worth. So the kama nefishe bakiye tfei. The more experts you have, the more accurate, the better it's going to get. That's when there's a value of 3 versus 2. Avala inyan edus, when it comes to testimony, mea katrei, trei kameya. 2 equals 100, 100 equals 2. There's no distinction, 3 versus 2. According to this opinion, this is Rabbi Huna B'rei Yeshua, no, just because he brought 3, it's not 2. We don't believe him any more than 2. Bringing 3 witnesses today is not any stronger than 2 witnesses. So it's 2. He says, believe me like 2 witnesses, so it's not believed. And then we have Lishna Achrina. Before we do that, maybe let's go with the Ritva. Yes. I'm sorry.
You have 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
Come down in prison and say, yes,
Yeah.
your evidence is identical. We accept it. And then there's a third one. That's one case. Another case, you've got 3 people. They check all 3.
Right.
And just by the normal rules of probability, yeah. If 3 people get together and they're identical,
right.
chances of 3 people against 2 is less likely. So therefore, if you have 3, I would argue that it is stronger than 2.
Very nice.
That's yeah. That must be.
Are strong as 100, and 100 witnesses are strong as 2.
That's a second opinion. The first opinion is that 3 is more than strong. What's a svara? The parrots want to say that if the probability is higher, and what you're saying, Alan, is like Rav Huna B'rei Yeshua, who says no. when it comes in the world of witnesses, there's no such thing as numbers. Once you hit 2, that's the maximum.
Yeah.
Like in
Yeah,
is it sorry? Is that anything? Yeah. Is that fun? Okay. So,
and that's the whole.
well, we'll see in a moment. We'll see in a moment. But the mitzvah says, what happens if he says, let's see what the case is. I remember what he says. So he said, like, if he says, believe me, like what, like 2 witnesses. He says, what is it? Back to the first case. I believe that's what the Ripper says. It's a couple of days already. He says, believe me, anytime I say you're not paid. Right? That's the first case. Believe me, I say it's not paid. Fine. And then he brings 2 witnesses. Okay, so then we have the discussion. But what happens in the if there's 1 witness? He says, believe me, anytime I say it's no, that you have to believe me, I said it's not paid. So he brings 2 witnesses. We know 2 witnesses is 2 witnesses. What happens if he brings 1 witness? Paid him 1 witness. Is that enough to? So the Riffa says, yeah, it's enough to do what this does. It's make him swear. Yeah, it is enough. But yeah, it's interesting side of it. Okay, so now we have a different lashon. I think this further. So before we're going to get back to Shavuos. Really, we will very soon. So the Lishna Achrina is another. What we just said, a different version. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth wide line in the middle. Lishna Achrina. First word of the line is Meya. A little vav next to it. Let's go across. Lishna Achrina. Lishna Achrina, another girsa here of this, a version of this. Maisa. Ahu damar lechavre. Person said to his friend, Mehemisli gebeit shrei. Kol emas damer slo parana. He says, believe me, you have to believe me. That's part of the deal. Believe me that anytime I deny, that's not the right word. Anytime I say that it wasn't paid back with the strength of 2 witnesses. Azal parei bapi tlasa. Paid him back from the 3. Same case, different discussion. Amarav Papa. Kibet shrei hemne. Kibet tlasa lo mehemne. No, he said 2. You brought 3. 3 is stronger. So maskif la Rav Huna b'rei Rav Yeshua. Shrei kameo meika shrei. No. Rav Papa said, no, we line them up. 3 is more than 2. He agreed to believe against 2, but he brought 3. We have to believe him and pay them back. Rav Huna, the son of Rav Yeshua, said, no, 2 is 100, 100 is 2. Numbers don't make a difference. Then he adds one important line here. Vi amar le kibeit lasa. But if the original stipulation was, believe me, to say it's not paid back, like 3, the azal pare ape be'arba, and he pays him back in front of 4. Kivan de nachis ladeos. Once he brought it down to deos, opinions. Why is he saying 3? Why not 2? That means it's like deos, like opinions rather than witnesses. He brought it into the world of opinions rather than witnesses, like professional opinions as rather than witnesses. Nachs ladeos. He's a strength of people rather than the world of testimony, the rules of Eidos. Once he said 3, and 3 is unnecessary, trust me, like 3, it's unnecessary. And once that's your currency, number of people, so that's the currency we work with. And if he brings 4 witnesses, then that's it. It's believed. That's how he paskin. So we paskin 2 things. First, meya katrei trei meya. That's how he paskin. That if he says 2, and then the guy brings 3 witnesses, so we believe him as 2, and 2 is 3. So he's believed that's not paid. And also, if he says, believe me like 3, but then he brings 4, so then, no, 4 is stronger than 3, because he moved it from the world of Eidos, where the currency is Eidos. 2 is like 100, 100 is like 2. The currency of Deos, power of number of people, the simple opinions, and then 4 is more than 3.
Those 3 or those 4 still have to be the criteria of 80.
Right. If they're
so they're all
right.
clear.
That's an interesting point. Yes, if it's the world of the currency of Deos, but within the some guidelines of witnesses, obviously you can't just trust people. If 3 3 goyim come in, it's not going to do the trick. 4 goyim, whatever it is, come in. I assume not.
That's where parents is as far.
Right. Yes, right.
2 lots of 2.
Right.
Isn't that stronger?
It is stronger. This strong. The 4 would beat out the 3. That's what we call the 4 would beat out the 3. The reason is because you're giving a different reason why 4 better. 4 over 3 is 2 sets of witnesses. So I don't know if that would. That's an interesting question. The Svara of the Gemara is different. Is that you asked for 3 in the first place, which it knocks it out of the world of Eidos. It knocks it out of the world of Eidos in the first place. Why would you say, believe me like 3? What's 3? Yehemin Kaveh Trey is the concept. Believe me like 2. What's 3? It must be that you're looking at pure numbers. You're looking for numbers, then we look at numbers. 4 is more than 3. That's how yeah.
Can't we say that, but saying that he was saying what the pasuk says. Pasuk says 2 or 3. You see, you chose a bigger number.
Right. So there's drushes on the 3 or 2, but nice when they quote on the side, so I don't have to remember. But yeah. No, right. Yeah, there are the reasons why. Yeah. I'm gonna have a drink here, Philly. Okay. Okay, so we're back to the Gemara. Let's quote from the Mishnah, actually. We'll look at this quote from the Mishnah. We're actually getting back to Shavuos, believe it or not, but only for momentarily. Yeah, yeah, a little bit, and then then we have the Mishnah, which gets into some exceptions to Shavuos. Okay, let's let us do. Here we are. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th wide line. Right in the middle, there's 2 dots. We quote from the Mishnah. Ein nishbon al tainas chereshot v'katan, ein mashpian as a katan. We don't make a person swear if a katan or a cheresh, a deaf mute, or a fool or a minor makes a claim. We don't make a person swear for them. Ein mashpian as a katan. If there's a claim against a minor, we don't make the minor swear. So the Gemara is going to ask my taima. What's the reason that a minor is off the hook here? Why can't, if there's a claim against him, what's the principle? The shmor. The pasuk says when you give to a person, ish, the man, adult, el re'ehu kesef okelim, hold on to, for example, kesef okelim, coins or silver or vessels, lishmor, to guard, ve'ein nesinas katan klum. As Rashi says, giving to a minor is nothing. As Rashi says, the ish ksiv, as it says a man, the cheresh v'shota kiktanim him, and deaf, mute, and fool are the same status as the minor, below das. They don't have the necessary das, mental maturity, I'd say, to require them, to mechayiv them Yeshua in such cases. Okay. The Gemara continues. Also a quote from the Mishnah. Aval nishpayin lekatan lehekdesh. But if we make a person swear if he has a claim, if he's owed money to a minor or to hekdesh or to the Beis Hamikdash or to something of that nature, to hekdesh, to the Mishkan. So then the Gemara is going to ask the obvious question. But we said it 2 minutes ago. What did we just say a second ago? We said a second ago. We said. We don't make this person swear for the claim of a minor. And here we said in the Mishnah, like just a couple of words later, we do make a person swear to a minor and to hekdesh. What's the case? Do we swear for the claim of on the behalf or for the claim of a minor or not? So that's what Gemara is going to ask. You just said a few lines in the earlier lines of the Mishnah. We don't make a person swear for the claim of a Chera, short of a katan. That means a fool or a minor. So Amar Rav. Rav is going to explain a machlokes to explain the case. Amar Rav. Rav says the ba b'tainas of it. It's a katan who's coming with the taina of his father. That his father is owed money. He's claiming that his father is owed money. So it's not his money, it's the father's money. That's a different case. And why would that mean that someone can swear to him? What's the case exactly? Of it, or Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov. He is talking in Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, the person saying this. The Tanya is the author of the Mishnah there, is the Tana of the Mishnah. The Tanya, he learned in Brisa. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov said, Pa'amim, there are times, Adam Nishba al Tainas Atzmo. The person has to swear based on his own claim. He's claiming and he has to swear. What does that mean? Ketzad, what's the case? Amr lo, manu lavicha biyadi. The person says, he admits to the son of the father, I'm holding on, I have money that's coming to your father. Pras, and I happen to have used up half of it. So it's like sort of like modem mixa. He's like partially admitting, I owe, but I only owe half. Here's the half back. I only owe you half, so to speak. Hareza nishba. He swears. He takes an oath that he doesn't owe more than that. That's a case of a person who swears based on his own admittance. He's admitting, but he has to swear that this is what he owes. So that's the case of the Mishnah. That you swear to a katan. It's a swearing to a katan when the party that's owed, comes and admits that he owes to the son because he owes to the father. He owes the money, and he swears to the son. He swears that that's what he owes. That's the case that the Mishnah is talking about. Now, a normal case he wouldn't, but this is the case you do. And that's the opinion of Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, and he's the author of the Mishnah, and that's how it fits. This is the case where you swear to a katan. But the Rabbanan in that brisa that we make it fit disagree. We're still in the brisa. No, it's like a meshav aveda, returning a lost item, and he's a pater from swearing. What's the case of meshav aveda? The classic case of meshav aveda of returning a lost item is, let's say you come to court, you come and you say, Ruvain, this is your lost item, I found it. Here's the 100 shekel I found. The person says, 100, it's 200. So we don't make the person swear that, it's sort of like a modus mixus, partial admittance. In that case, you don't make a person swear by an aveda, by a lost item. Otherwise, no one will give back aveda. It's like, why am I doing this guy a favor? Because I'll say you don't have to swear by case of aveda. It's like a meshav aveda. So this case, the Chamim say, is like a meshav aveda. Why? Because this guy didn't have to admit that he's owed to the father money. He's a good guy and came along and admitted how much he owes, and now we're making him swear. So according to the Chamim, you would not make him, it would not swear, because it's like this, returning a lost item, because he didn't have to say anything, and he's patur, he's not liable. Okay, so those are the two opinions in the brisa. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov and the Chachamim. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov says you do have to, you do swear, and that's the case for our Mishnah. This brisa explains the case for our Mishnah. Our brisa, the Mishnah, is like Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, or is Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, and it's saying that's the case. This is the case where he swears to a katan. The Chachamim disagree. In that case, you don't swear because it's like returning. You didn't have to say anything. It's like returning a lost item. With Chachamim, don't make you swear. Okay, so now we're going to try to understand this case. We're trying to work this out. What exactly is the case? What's the discussion between the Lezer ben Yaakov and the Chachamim? In here, we're trying to work this out. But Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, less lay meshva beid pater. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov doesn't agree to that svara. That's a sound svara. So we hold of that. That when you're returning a lost item, you don't make you swear that you're returning everything. So to here, he's admitting to the son that he has money from the father, and no one knows about it, basically, and he didn't have to say anything. So why do we make him swear? It's the same classification as an aveda, as a lost item. He didn't have to return it. So Rav says, Bishetanu katan. When he's a katan, he makes that claim. He claims the case is when he's claiming as a katan. Wait a second. And it's hard to understand what the havmin of the statement is, but katan va'armes einishbon al tainas cherishot v'katan. What do you mean? We're starting to line up the case here that's a katan, and that's why. What does that mean exactly? So the olam gadol. Now, really, so backtrack again. Cases where he is a gadol, new circumstance. They're arguing the case when it's a gadol, an adult, 13-year-old and plus, who makes the claim. But my korelei katan. So why is he called a cut? Called a cut in the Mishnah. Why is the case is it's a katan? Lagabe mili davua katanu. With regards to his father's matters, he is considered a minor. So wait a second.
He's not swearing; he's making somebody else swear.
Elazar ben Yaakov says that the guy is coming on his own volition to swear. That's the case. But he's talking about a gadol, an adult, that he's making him swear. So yeah, we're trying to figure out what's the case that the minor has to swear, that someone swears to a minor. As I said, the case is it's going like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, and the case is that the guy comes along and admits that he owes money to the father. He swears to the son on his own volition, and then he would swear. We're trying to work out the case because it would seem that the case has to be that the Chachamim had a good claim. He has no reason to come. He's just coming on his own volition. It's the status of a lost item. This money is like lost money, and he's nice enough to return it, so to speak. So therefore, he shouldn't have to swear. So what's the case he has to swear? So we're saying, no, really, why is he swearing to the guy? Because really, it's really like a gadol. He's like a gadol. We're trying to work out the case exactly. He's really to an adult, and he's coming with his own claim. Yachi tanis atzmo. Sorry, I lost place here. The katan nolam gadol. The second to last line in the middle. Olam gadol. Really, we're talking about cases by an adult. But my korale katan. Why is he called a minor? With regard to the matters of the father, he's still like a katan. He's still like a child. Doesn't really. Ihachi, if that's so, tanis atzmo. Ihachi tanis atzmo. If that's the case, is it really the guy's coming with his own claim? Tanis acherim. It's not like the child's claiming to a child. It's like sorry, it's not like someone else is claiming, and the guy's coming on his own volition. It's like he's claiming because he's an adult, and he can make the claim himself. So, I'm sorry, it's tanas atzmo tanas acherim. It's other people claiming. So we say tanas acherim odas atzmo. No, the case is where other people are claiming, and he says, he admits, this fellow says, no, he admits that he owes the money. That's how we're saying the case is, that other people, that the other guy is claiming, and people are claiming, or it's an adult, he's claiming his father's owed money, he's admitting that he owes the money to him. So let's flip the page so we get the flow here. It's difficult, this back and forth is a little bit difficult because it doesn't really.
In case of somebody owing his father's money, saying paying half, the orphan is making a claim against him. The orphan's not swearing; he's making the other party swear. In none of these cases, the orphan has to swear.
No, yeah, we're talking about we're trying to find
a claim. Doesn't have to make a Shavuos. Right. He's just making a claim to the courts that somebody, this man owes my father money. Therefore, that he has to sway whether he's paid half or nothing.
Right. 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 Correct. So the other guy's coming on his own volition, but we have to change the case a little bit back and forth here to find.
The Gemara is trying to prove that a minor doesn't have to swear.
But we know that minor doesn't exactly. The minor doesn't swear, and other people don't swear to a minor. So what's the case? Case is when the minor is owed money from his father, and the other guy comes and admits on his own that he owes a certain amount, and he goes in and takes an oath on his own. That's he's coming through his own volition, his own. That's how we want to say the case is. We're gonna change it slightly soon, but that's the case. That he's coming on his own volition. Yeah.
That's it. Six. Nine. Now, out, of course. He can't remind me.
Right.
But because of the circumstances, we throw it on the debtor.
We want to throw it onto the debtor. Yes.
Yeah.
We're
trying to get justice.
We're trying to do that. We're trying to figure out what's the case exactly, because someone who's coming on his own volition is not. We generally don't make him swear. So then we say maybe it's an adult. Let's try to figure that out. Let's just do the last line on or rather the first line on Mem Beis Amid base 42b. Just quickly go over again tomorrow. Kulu nami tainas acherim. No, real. Wait a second. Kulu nami tainas. Every single case out there is a case where other people claim hodos atzmo. That's the classic case. What's the classic case when other people are claiming, and he admits and is swearing? What's exactly the case? We'll go over this again. Exactly, it's a little bit tricky, this back and forth. But at the end, we're going to throw it out. We're going to say that the machlokas between the Eliezer ben Yaakov and Chamim is based on Rava. I'm going to say how we work this out in this fashion. Okay. And thank you, everyone. Have a great day.